Martin Luther King Jr. is important because not only was he a leader of the civil rights movement, not only was he a reverend, he sort of brought cohesion. He brought people together from diverse backgrounds, white, African American, Hispanic, Asian. He was able to reach across racial and gender lines, lead a movement that brought about great change in society, and stood up for people's rights. He had a voice for the voiceless. He provided strength and power for those who were powerless. So not only to say that he was a dynamic orator and speechwriter, but he instilled hope and belief in all the Americans in the civil rights movement that they could fight for a better tomorrow, and that they could do that nonviolently and peacefully, and that if they just kept on knocking at the door, that they would be able to knock down the door of injustice and inequality, and that then the government, the United States, would see the error of its ways and encompass and provide equal rights and civil rights for all of its citizens.
Who do you think inspired him to be like this? There's some saying that it was another person that he based his belief, like doing it peacefully. Yes,
I would definitely say that his influence, he was greatly influenced by Gandhi. The whole nonviolent movement, he took that movement, brought it to America, and incorporated it into the civil rights movement, and saw that it worked for Gandhi, that this should be the road that African Americans should approach to gain their civil rights.
Okay. Purpose for Lincoln Heights.
The purpose of Lincoln Heights back then was to provide African American children with a great education, a first-class education, which the administrators and teachers did provide. Today, Lincoln Heights, they have the Recreation Corporation Committee. It is as an outreach, community builder. Always, they're doing some tutorials down there and all that. So it is a one-stop shop where people can go for assistance. If their children, need tutoring, they're providing that. And also it serves as a historical marker in time to give evidence to past history of the educational achievement, the educational attainment of African Americans in Wilkes County.
Who were some of the important places in Wilkes County? What are some of you think that are some of the important places in Wilkes County?
Well, definitely I would have to say the Lincoln Heights High School, the old Wilkes Jail, the Wilkes County Heritage Museum, and the old courthouse. That they all serve as a vault, if you would say, that keeps the historical riches of our county preserved for future generations to enjoy and learn about.
What about where we're sitting here?
Oh, yes. I would be remiss if I did not mention Wilkes Community College. Wilkes Community College is an important place because there again, they're serving the educational role. They are helping retool people who might have been laid off or jobs have gone overseas. They are retraining the present work class. They're training tomorrow's work class. They are training tomorrow's teachers and training tomorrow's leaders. We have a very unique and top-rate community college that stands heads above other community colleges around the state.
What about, talk to me about recreational places, you know? I'm looking for a certain answer.
Recreational. Recreational, you could enjoy the greenway that connects North Wilkesboro and Wilkesboro together. It's an outstanding walking trail. W. Kerr Scott Dam and Lake for boating, fishing, nature walks. We have that for recreational. Also, there's Smoot Park, the only public swimming pool, swimming enjoyment that's located in North Wilkesboro. Then you have the Woods Edge Park, where there's the baseball facility that Wilkes Community College uses at River's Edge. So, you know, Wilkes County is blessed that we have such recreational entities within our county.
Okay, churches and music.
Churches and music. That's another great asset of Wilkes County. There are numerous African American churches. There's a wide array of Protestant churches. So, you know, we are a community that is deeply rooted in our religious faith. We have a large selection of churches for people to attend. So, you know, you can go and extol your religious faith and continue your association with God.
Okay, how about music venues?
Music venues.
Music.
Another great aspect of Wilkes County is the MerleFest that is held here at Wilkes Community College. A great thing about the MerleFest is they bring in a diversity of music, a whole genre from bluegrass to folklore to R&B to jazz. That is really a defining asset of the area, that we do have such a large music production that happens each year that brings thousands of people to the campus of Wilkes Community College. Also, you know, we would be remiss, the African Americans have had a large influence on the music of today, even going back to folklore and country. The early Africans that came over as slaves, it was their drums, their beats that they instilled that carried on and was passed down. Also the picking of the banjo and the strings. They were able to pass that heritage, that music down through the years, and then it was incorporated into today's music. So African Americans greatly had a contribution to the music industry throughout the years.
Okay, did we talk about important people?
Important people. I would say some important people in Wilkes County would be the late Elizabeth Gritton. She was a real pioneer, just a first-class lady. She was a community leader. She was very strong in Lincoln Heights, getting that building preserved. Another lady that is really dear to my heart is my mom, Faye Hill Harrison, as the first African-American woman to be a principal in Wilkes County. People such as Richard Harris, he was one of many black principals, Robert Habershaw, Alexander Irwin, Gene Graham in education, Bobby Graham, Louise Chapman. It was just a whole genre, and today we have, you know, Scott Wall, who is a teacher, coach at Wilkes Central, Adina Watkins, Alicia Parks, and Some people say I'm important. Myself, as director of the executive director of the North Wilkesboro Housing Authority, there have been many important people in Wilkes County, but there's also those people who you might not ever see their name in the paper. They might not have been a teacher, but they are a citizen of Wilkes County. They raise their family here, or they work here in, textiles factory or at Tyson. They provide a service in itself, which brings the overall community in place. So there are definitely I would say, a class of people that are the unsung heroes that do contribute to the cause and to society in Wilkes County, but you just might not ever have heard of them, or they could be your neighbor next door, but their contributions are no less small or minimal because they are here, and because they are a citizen, they have contributed to the county.
Now you mentioned a lady named Dina, and I thought was her name.
Adina Watkins.
What was her name before she married?
Oh, that is her name. Yeah, she's not married. She's the daughter of Richard Watkins and Andorra Watkins. She's a teacher at the middle school and coaches the middle school basketball team.
I'm looking for another Dina Graham. Can you tell me?
Deneen Graham. Yes.
Mention her because
Yes.
she's very important.
Yes. Deneen Graham is very important. She was the first Black to be Miss North Carolina. She's a dear family friend. Her parents and my mom have always been friends. She was the first African American woman to be named and crowned Miss North Carolina. She went on to compete in the Miss America pageant, and that was the year when Vanessa Williams won Miss America, and Vanessa Williams was the first African American woman to be crowned Miss America.
Okay. Struggles. Have we gone into struggles?
Struggles. The struggle is that we must continue to struggle and strive to make society better. That means that, you're going to have to oppose racism. You're going to have to oppose inequality. If there's a pay discrepancy, equal pay for equal work. The struggle is that we must make society better. We must leave this place better for the next generation than we found it. We have to instill in our youth the sense of achievement. We have to instill in them the importance of education so that they can make a way in society and contribute back to it.
Did Faye get into the Jim Crow era? She talked about
Yes,
that?
we passed
Okay.
this.
And Civil War and slaves.
Yes, we've. Businesses in Wilkes County. That is something that we need more of. One prevalent African American business that I know of is Watco, Watkins Coles. They do cleaning, car detailing, commercial cleaning of that magnitude. Wilkes County needs more businesses, more economic industry, so that there will bring into it more diversity and bring in more wages. If you have more people working, you're definitely going to have more people spending money in Wilkes County. You're going to have more taxes, and then that will alleviate the scarce allocation of resources and make the overall community and society better.
There's one other business, and I used to do a lot of business with him, and talk about you probably figured out they do slaughtering.
Yes,
Talk about-
Thomas Brothers Slaughterhouse. They do a lot of curing of country ham, something that is prevalent to this area. They still do it the old way, where they put the salts and the peppers on it, and you can buy your ham, and then you can take it and you can cure it in your own smokehouse or put it up, or they're getting away from they can still go back to the old-fashioned way, where now most places they're using the heat to cure and dry it, and it has a big difference. Wouldn't you say, Mule? You can tell the difference between pepper and salt cured country ham and then the kind that's been the heat cured. I prefer the old-fashioned kind, but yes, the Thomas Brothers Slaughterhouse has been a staple in the African American community. A lot of business has been dealt. They're probably one of the few places where you can still get your meat cut to order. Another great place, he wasn't an African American, but a lot of African Americans utilized his store, was Clegg Color. He would make the best Dagwood sandwiches, deli sandwiches, and he took pride in cutting your meat. And if you went into Clegg's, it made him happy. If you came in there and needed a piece of meat cut, he'd say, well, how you want it? Do you want it inch thick? And you could just see the gleam and glow in his eye as he, as a butcher, professionally cut your meat to your specification. Thomas Brothers is one of the few places where you can still get that old-fashioned hometown connection, where they can cut your meat to your specification. So that is another African American business that has been in our community for many years.
Well,
We cover everything? I'll stop for a second. Jamil.
Okay. I would just like to say I commend Dr. Faybird and those working on this project. I think it is a very worthwhile endeavor that the African American history and experience is going to be preserved and documented in Wilkes County. I would like to thank her for taking this endeavor on, and Wilkes Community College for allowing her the resources and space to do this documentary. And thank you, Mule, for interviewing me.